It's the Viking Youth Power Hour.
The new Ford man in Fairbanks. It was my experience that Ford dealers in general harbored a good deal of bitterness after we cut production of the Taurus. I say we cut production of the Taurus, but I was not involved in that decision. If you ask me, the Taurus was a fine car for what it was. Certainly no LTD or Mustang, but a nice step up from the dark days of the Pinto. For 16 years, I traveled around to dealers in southern Texas and shilled Ford cars to Ford dealers. A salesman for salesmen, a thankless job filled with cheap hotels and bad business meals in shit towns like Galveston, Laredo, Corpus Christi. I passed out thousands of heavy-duty brochures and received a fair share of cartoon booklets about the saving powers of Almighty Jesus. Perhaps I should point out that I was an atheist in those days. Well, I was pretty burned out on that whole routine and sick to death of the humid, never-ending stench of Texas. One sticky November evening, as I rolled the Taurus into the parking lot of the regional sales office, a Bing Crosby Christmas song came on the radio and sent me into a headlong reverie of my Minnesota boyhood, and snow, and chains on tires, and the smell of wood burning and fireplaces in the distance. I smoked a cigarette with the AC cranked and decided to get the fuck out of Texas, post-haste. My boss, Mr. Acevedo, was still hunched over his desk. His office reeked of tacos and spices and stale sweat. I handed him my reports and told him I was quitting at once. That should have been the end of it. I should have walked out the door and never looked back. But he sat me down, poured me a drink, and asked me what was on my mind. I was the best member of his team, he told me, a real asset to the corporation. There was a picture of old Henry Ford looking at me from over his shoulder. Yes, he was going to make it right for me somehow. I told him to forget it. I had to get the hell out of this stifling land of humid regret and dollar store strip malls. I had to get back to my roots. Small northern towns and all that business about fireplaces and icicles. I should have kept my mouth shut. 2 weeks later, I was freezing my ass off as the new Ford man for the Fairbanks North Star Borough, Alaska, an 8,000 square mile area in central Alaska surrounding the city of Fairbanks, if you're feeling generous enough to call Fairbanks a city. Truth be told, this was a pretty cush assignment. With only 4 Ford dealers in the borough, there wasn't much to do but glad hand these rubes, push the new Focus, a shitty car if you ask me, and watch pay-per-view porn in my hotel room, and wait around for my snot to thaw. There was trouble on the 24th of December. I was supposed to have the day off, naturally, but there was a mix-up, a computer glitch, and the new fleet of January Fords would not be delivered to Fairbanks Ford, or any of the dealers in my district, unless I began the process again from scratch, with old Bill, the owner of Fairbanks Ford. Bill didn't give a fuck, being the kind of guy who spends at least a few hours a day in the office, even on Christmas Eve. I was hungover, and I could feel a cold gestating in my head and chest, but being an award-winning Ford man, I performed my duty with grace and dignity. While we were filling out the endless paperwork, I got a call from headquarters. I was to drive to North Pole, Alaska as soon as possible, and ensure that their paperwork was in order. North Pole, Alaska. Yes, it is a real town, a tiny novelty town like Christmas, Michigan, or Booger Hollow, Arkansas, where most of the revenue is generated by tourists sending postcards and letters to friends and family, all bearing the postmark of the town with the hilarious name. They had a small Ford dealership there as well. After finishing up with Bill that evening, I decided to drive at once to North Pole, spend the night there, and handle their Ford emergency on the morning of the 26th. And why not spend Christmas in North Pole, Alaska? Perhaps I would send a postcard to my mother in Florida. I hadn't been in contact with her for years. On my way out of Fairbanks Ford, Bill told me to be careful. There was a bad snowstorm on its way, and he didn't think the Focus I was driving would be able to handle the heavy snow. But North Pole was almost a suburb of Fairbanks, just a 20-mile drive across the empty expanse of Fort Wainwright. I would be there in less than an hour, I told him. My hotel was already paid for. I returned to the Chalet Motor Lodge, packed my bag, and headed out for North Pole. It began to snow lightly at first, with the Christmas lights of Fairbanks twinkling and the smell of fireplaces off in the distance. For a moment, a wave of bliss washed over me. There was Christmas music on the radio. As I approached the end of Fairbanks and the last of the streetlights, the wind picked up and the snow really started to come down. I took it slow, knowing that the Focus was a shitty car for anything other than driving the 2 miles from your condo to the strip mall in, say, Fort Lauderdale. In 5 minutes, the snow was blinding. I could barely see the deserted stretch of road before me. Occasionally, my front wheels would spin out of control and I would have to slow the pace. I was crawling now, keeping a steady 5-mile-per-hour clip, leaning into the windshield to try to follow the curve of the road. An hour passed. I tried to calculate how long it would be before I saw the few lights of North Pole, Alaska. My back began to hurt from the leaning forward. I was out of cigarettes. The radio station turned to static. Nearly 3 hours later, I began to do some calculations in my head. Even at this snail's pace, I should have seen the streets and lights of North Pole. It had stopped snowing, but the wind was whipping snow across the road. I could barely make out the shoulder. Blackness on all sides. I considered turning around, and as I did, I saw a dim light through the snow. Yes, it was a light in a driveway, in front of a barn-style garage with a little house next to it. Probably the home of some rich merchant from Fairbanks, celebrating the holidays with their family. I pulled into the driveway. They would let me use their phone, and they could probably get me back on track, back to the main road into the comfort of my hotel room and a fresh pack of cigarettes, and a hot shower and pay-per-view porn. As I cut the lights on the Focus and grabbed my address book, the front door of the little house opened. It was someone's grandma, no doubt, and dressed up like Mrs. Claus. I got out of the car, waved, and approached the front door. "Sorry to bother you on Christmas Eve," I said, "but I think I'm lost." "Oh yes," the old woman said. "Come on in and out of that snow." I entered, thanked her, and took off my boots. She padded back to the kitchen, asking me if I wanted a cup of hot tea. Before I could refuse, she handed me a steaming cup. The vapors smelled like peppermint. I thanked her and took a sip. "Ah, that is delicious. Thank you, ma'am. Sorry to bother you all, but I'm lost out there." She cut me off, told me not to worry about it. She was alone in the house, her husband off on business. She offered me a seat in the living room. I was starting to warm up, and the tea was delicious. She had rosy, youthful cheeks, but I could tell she was quite old. We exchanged pleasantries. I told her how I got lost on the road to North Pole. I introduced myself, and she said, "Well, I'm glad to meet you. I'm Mrs. Claus." I chuckled and looked at her. She just smiled, didn't deliver a punchline. I took another sip of the tea. It was then that I noticed the smell, an old smell of gin and Christmas trees and stained wood. I noted that the living room was filled with antiques, no television. I didn't see a phone. I was about to ask her if she knew the way to North Pole or back to Fairbanks, but she set her cup down and asked me, "Well, tell me, have you been naughty or nice this year?" I laughed quietly and heard my laugh echo back in my head. My sight grew fuzzy. I couldn't speak. I tried to excuse myself, to stand up, but I fell to my knees. The baby Jesus in the nativity scene lifted its head, grew horns, and began to cackle. I blacked out. When I came to, my hands and feet were bound. I was naked. There were fluffy strips of cotton affixed to my face like a flowing beard. My head was pounding. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw a small man dressed like an elf peeking around the corner of a doorway. When my eyes met his, he let out a cry and disappeared. The old woman appeared with 2 large candy canes in her hand. I groaned, tried to speak. "J is for Jesus, the shape of these tasty treats," she said, turning them upside down and licking the ends. She rolled me over and inserted one of the candy canes into my ass. I must admit I was not ready for that. My sphincter contracted like a vice and snapped the hard candy in 2. I threw up on my cotton beard. "Oh, you dirty, dirty boy," she hollered. Flipped me onto my back. The remainder of the candy cane broke off, with just an inch of it lodged in my anus. It stung. She removed her glasses, then began a hideous striptease, taking her long gray hair out of its bun and slowly removed her long red fur coat. Her breasts sagged like dried prunes. She began to finger herself, then inserted the remaining candy cane through the drooping folds of her labia. She moaned, threw her head back. "It's a holiday trip to the cleft of Venus," she screamed. I blacked out again. When I opened my eyes again, she was fully nude and cooing to a partridge in a pear tree. Do you like little birds, she asked me, because this is going to be pretty foul. I struggled at my restraints, but my head was spinning and I was weak. The sound of hooves. A large animal snorting behind me. Mrs. Claus' eyes widen with glee. "Blitzen Jr.!" she exclaims. I feel horns pressing into my back as the beast begins to eat the stub of candy cane from my ass. I feel the hot breath of the animal on my back. "All right, enough," the old woman hollers. Over my shoulder, I see two midgets pulling the reindeer through a side door into the snow. The next several hours passed like a hazy nightmare as the old woman defiled me in ever more horrifying ways. She was insatiable, a living encyclopedia of absolute perversion. She announced each violation with glee. The lump of coal, down the chimney, 2 bowls full of jelly, ice fishing for Jesus, etc. The sun was shining. It was calm. I was sitting in my focus on the outskirts of Fairbanks. My body ached. My head was throbbing. 2 weeks later, I was talking up the new Ford line to a mustached man in Galveston. "Oh yes," I told him. "I think you'll find that the Focus is a fine car. Better than the Taurus, I think. A real runner." I moved into a house on stilts right outside of Galveston. In the evenings, I drink many beers and eat shrimp. And I don't miss the smell of firewood or icicles. And the new Ford line, especially the Focus, is really top-notch.
Yeah.
That was to Jesus.
To Jesus.
The reason for the season, huh?
Absolutely.
So they say. Sure, I've heard the stories, heard the chatter on the playgrounds, kids, those punks, talking about the quote-unquote myth of Santa Claus, barking like they know something or two. Always blathering on these shits about how it couldn't possibly be true, that it's impossible for anything like that to be true, that it's all just a pack of lies meant only to perpetuate some kind of dime store, pie-in-the-sky ideal for all men to aspire towards. Who are these cretins so certain in their beliefs? Me, I take the agnostic approach in life. I won't profess any agenda unless I've got first-hand knowledge, unless I can attest to it from my own experience. Sure, it's a more difficult way to live one's life, but I'm no coward. Nay, I'm a slave to the truth. The plan's simple. I've extracted about 1.5 ounces of digitalis from clippings of my neighbor's foxglove plant. Digitalis is a worthy ally. It is almost untraceable to taste, save for a slight sweetness, almost poetically perfect, as it will be easily masked in the icing of the Christmas cookies, which I'll leave out like a bait for the old fat man to take. Even one cookie will be enough to send the poison into the fat man's system, rendering him at first paralyzed and then unconscious. Now the problem with digitalis is the very low margin between a dose that will render him unconscious and a dose that will kill him. But this is a risk that has to be taken in the name of science and truth. I'll stay rested and ready for the investigation by napping on the couch by the Christmas tree. The clamor and the clatter of a 300-plus pound man being seized by paralysis and ever-increasing fits of what must look like electroencephalic spasms should be plenty loud to wake me from my slumber, where I'll be rested, sharp and ready for my experiment. Once he falls stiff to the floor in a death-like trance, I can begin to validate my findings. From there, photographs, videos, and a few appropriate field tests and measurements should be adequate. By morning's light, if all goes well, our subject should find himself back in consciousness, no worse for the wear, save for maybe the feeling of a slight hangover. And I will go down in history. A smash, a bang, a clatter. I know what that means. The fat man has eaten the poison. My God, he's trembling and moaning like a waterhead in heat, his mouth foaming and filling his beard with some kind of gray-green goo. The sight is terrible. Dear God, this may be too much to take. I may have to pull out. No, God damn it, no. I prostrate in the church of science, and in that church I hold my chin steady and proceed with the experiment. In Heisenberg, in Einstein, in Bohm, this is my lineage. These are the shoes in which I step forth along this illustrious path. I've caught his large body just before it falls limp to the floor. His weight is far more imposing in reality, much more difficult to manage than it was in my mind. His aged rolls of skin and fat slip under my fingers as I rest his head upon the cold tile in order to begin this monumental task. As I drop him to the ground, I let my hands glide across his chest, his breast feeling no different than what I imagine a woman's breast might feel. Amazing, the way they softly respond to the touch, insinuating a wish to press against me, yet simultaneously falling away under my will. Excited by my discovery, I lean forward on my knees for better leverage on Santa's breasts as my soft young groin whisks across the old man's nose. I can feel the winter chill from his rosy cheeks tighten my scrotum, as if his soul has reached up from his unconscious body for one caress of my small chestnut-like testicles on his most memorable of Christmas Eves. My God, I have lived only for this moment. But science I must not forget, for loath am I to focus on but one part of this great man's assembly when there is truth to discover and science to be had. I make my way around to the old man's feet, removing his boots, all the while playing a game with myself, wondering which parts are rolls in his pants and which are the bulges of St. Nick's manhood. Slowly I peel his wet woolen socks from his tree stump legs. My word, he's much colder than the average human. Very interesting, I must make note of this. This chill, living on the North Pole year-round, must have altered the man's body temperature to something far below that of the average human. At last, his boots and socks have been removed, and I may begin my journey to the heart of Christmas, to the true meaning of Christmas. Running my hands up from between his toes, up his steed-like legs and thighs, I'm breathing down, fogging his belt buckle under the warmth of my breath. At this point, I don't know what has me more aroused, the prospect of tasting Santa Claus in his most delicious visage, or tasting truth in its most immediate of flavor. Pish-posh! I shall relish in both, and grind my small pecker into a lather up and down the taut thigh of old Saint Nick. As I always suspected, our holiday hero encases his Yule log in a red lacy thong. My God, it's like a gray-blue cock is but a pimple. My God, it's like his gray-blue cock is but a pimple on God's very forehead, ready to pop and drench my tonsils in pus. And I, dear beloved truth, am your slave. Like a sizable source of sodden dough, I begin working Santa's chilling prick with both my hands, electric shocks of pleasure racing up my wrists as he grows harder and stiffer with each melting rub. Dear Christ, he's hung like a bull moose, and he smells like citrus and liver. And is that nutmeg? No, it's mace, yes. A slight hint of mace in every sweating whisk of chilly manhood that drifts from his rod. Now I'm working his perineum with one hand and the base of his cock through his balls to bring the final inches of flesh into full mast as it captures the screaming gales of all my life's fantasies. I believe he's ready for the experiment. With his cock blue under my deft handiwork, I now grab from his satchel a large, oversized candy cane stick. Yes, this will do the job. It must be at least 8 inches long and 2 inches wide. If I can truly insert this into the hole of his cock and penetrate Santa like an old roast beef cunt crack whore, all those fools on the playground who said it was just a myth will finally feel the wrath of, yes, my correctness. Science be my guide and muse as I suffer towards truth. Licking my finger, I make small circles around the lips of his cock. Increasing the pressure in the diameter of the circle, I can see my first signs of victory. Yes, It's the end of my fingers dipping down into the head of his delicious prick as a metallic flavor fills my mouth in a rush of saliva. His blue thighs fall open like an iris, begging me further, deeper, closer to my only real lover, truth. With 4 fingers dipped knuckle deep in Kris Kringle's John Thomas, I plunge the candy cane into his manhood and churn the butters of St. Nick's sweet noggy flavored semen. Yes, 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 the rush of lust, the blood draining pop of ecstasy, and the delight of inarguable, experiential, absolute truth. Once again, the playground shall be mine. I am breathless. The myth is true. I must kiss my beautiful subject and taste the nicotine-stained tongue of so many fairy tales. My lips roll over the long white hair of Santa's beard, and I'm plunging my tongue deep into him, still rolling the candy cane in parallel motions around in his cock. How can this not wake him? My God, the power of the digitalis, its strength is seductive. How can it not wake him? Oh shit, this must wake him. Even the narcotic clutches of the foxglove's deadly poisons couldn't keep a man pinned into slumber while his cock is penetrated by a candy cane the size of a large baby's fist. The chill, the blue skin, dear fucking Christ, is a horse scabbed and begging for more. I've killed Santa and fucked his dead corpse. No, say it isn't so. Must I destroy another being in my search for truth? No, Santa. Jesus tits, no! Wake up! Wake up! I shake him frantically. I'm shaking him and tossing him around like a bucket of lard with a candy cane stick for a snout. I'm shaking him. Please, fuck Santa, wake up! Wake up! Wake up! What is this? What? A fake beard? A fake beard? But Santa has a real beard. Santa? My God, this isn't Santa. This is Father. My father dressed as Santa? Father, how could you? How could you do this to me? How could you taint my greatest experiment by forging my subject's likeness and make mockery of all that I hold dear? Oh, Father, why? Oh, how am I to adore this holy holiday where now my trust has been sold up to pasture and my sacred dreams stolen by the same simple forgery? How will science survive this most devastating of blows, I ask? Will truth ever care to haunt my wanton arms again, my devastated vessel? Oh, silent night, could you feel but just a little less lonely?
Bravo.
That was vivid. Well done.
Great.
Merry Christmas.
Good Lord. Slow train.
Delicious.
All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, Matt Shirley.
Yes. Okay. Sorry. Get this situated. Okay. She's dead. I know that's a real down note to start a story off on, but it's the only thing I'm sure of. The only thing I'm certain is true. She's dead. 2 words, repeated like staccato in my head day after day. The loneliest of mantras, 2 beats, sounded with every step I take on this snowfield of a sidewalk. I'd give just about anything to be able to think of something else. A movie, a baseball game, a recipe for roast duck. But it's hard, especially in the death throes of a northern winter. I keep thinking that maybe I can think my way out of it. Maybe I can think about it so much that I won't even notice it. Will disassociate from the entire experience. No dice yet. I just keep falling back into that room. The sanitized tile, the stainless steel, the stanchions in the tub, strange buttons to sound the final bell. Her, lying there, so sweet and beautiful, so gaunt and hollow, the eyes surrounded by black, recessed, just a hint of white light a few times a day. Every now and then a reminder of that big, warm, sultry smile. Just enough to fill me with memories, to take me back to naked Saturday mornings, lying in bed covered in syrup, eating waffles and croissants, wanting to devour all of her, to hold her so close, squeeze her so tight that we would become some misshapen oddity, suitable only for freak shows and back alley bar rooms. God damn it, I miss her. So now here I am, December, the holidays, Christmas time, on my way to buy a tree. This was one of our traditions, as I guess it is with most couples. We would buy a tree, mix up some eggnog, and listen to Frank and Dino sing holiday classics. Her favorite was the Christmas song. Every time Sinatra came to Jack Frost nipping at your nose, she would smile and pinch my nose. Then I'd grab her and laughing we'd fall to the ground, her hair tumbling over my head. I'd bury my face in her neck and breathe deep, smell her, and be happy. The light was always perfect on those nights, yellow, warm, inviting. I felt awash in simplicity. I remember thinking, just last year at this time, this is enough. I don't need anything else. Well, I don't count it likely that I'm going to have that same sensation tonight, but I'm happy to be keeping the tradition alive. It makes me feel her with me. So, tonight I will live for her. I'll go up around the corner here and pick the tree she would want. Something small and sad. The unwanted tree, just like Charlie Brown. It may just be the pills they gave me, but I'm feeling a bit better. The wind is just biting enough to color the cheeks. The street lights are painting the blanketed city with a hazy yellow glow. The night holds all the romance of old newsprint, and the tree lot is studded with big, fat, colored bulbs. I'll wander in here. Let's see, a tree. A little one, just the right one. Something she would like. Ah, the trees all smell so wonderful. There it is. Man, that tree is sad as me. What perfect bedfellows. Hey, buddy. I gotta have this tree. It reminds me of her. What's that, man? This tree. It's perfect. It's her. I gotta have it. Cool, man. It's $45. Fine. She's worth any price. Sure she is, buddy. Have a Merry Christmas. Same to you, my friend. Wow, this is amazing. This is the best I've felt in months. Standing here, freezing cold in this tree lot, clutching her. Clutching the world's saddest tree. Let's go home. I'll tell you what, tree. This isn't gonna be easy, but together we can do it. I'm gonna wrap my arms around you and carry you home. Here we go. Man, you smell wonderful. Let me talk to you for a while as we walk. Let me tell you about love, about her. She would love you. She was something I'd never thought existed, something that I'll never understand. She twisted me in ways I didn't know I could be twisted, taught me things I thought unknowable. Whole new levels of joy, passion, and experience. To lay next to her, to feel the supple curves of her body. The warmth of her breath was to be pulled from oneself, to transcend beyond the pleasure of meat and into a non-physical realm, a tingling, ecstatic tilt-a-whirl of eternity. I was better in her arms, less flawed, more me. I don't know that I'll ever feel that way again, tree, so perfect and whole. Well, we're almost home. Just a few more steps and I'll show you where she lived, where we became together. This isn't going to be an easy maneuver, but once we get you through this door, I've got the perfect place for you. Right where she would want you. Okay. Here we are. Let's get you comfortable and I'll make us some drinks and set about making you beautiful. First, some more pills.
Yes.
Ah, there we are. A little whiskey, some carols on the phono. Let's get you purdied up and I'll tell you about some more of our traditions. Okay, so these are the lights we bought together. Nice, thick teardrops. I hope you don't find them too suggestive. A string here, one there. Man, you are looking beautiful. Ah, let me close my eyes and smell you. I'm moving here, tree, floating through space. You are bringing her back to me. You are her vehicle. Man, it's getting hot in here. Can I freshen your drink? Excuse me for a moment. I've got to get more comfortable. Hi there. Please don't feel weird because I'm... Hi there. Please don't feel weird because I'm naked. This is the way we used to do things, and I just want tonight to be like those days. Sure is nice in here. Don't you just love the frosted windows and glow of the lights? You know what you need is some tinsel. Here we are.
Oh, shit.
I'm just gonna slowly drape these on your branches. I can't...
He's gonna fuck that tree.
I can't get over your smell. How much you remind me of her. Ah, that tinsel is perfect on you. Here, let's get a little closer. Your needles are so soft. What an amazing time I'm having. What a perfect night it is. How perfect to spend it with you. Tree, I've got to be honest. I'm starting to have the same feeling I used to have with you. Would you mind if I hold you? Come here. Ah, the sweet gin-like taste, the warm tickle, the incredible aroma. Can you feel me? Can you feel me growing? Do you feel this? Can you feel me, baby? Can you taste me? It's happening again. Oh my god. Oh my god. Holy shit. The sap. Holy shit, you're sticky. Holy fuck, I'm hot. My god, taste me. Please taste me. Drink me in. Oh, your water. Oh my god. What are you doing to me? What's happening? Oh shit. Tree. Tree. Fuck me, tree. Fuck me. Make me come with you. Tell me when you're ready, baby. Tell me. You're her. You're her. Finally. Finally, I'm home. Yes. Yes. Oh, shit. Here I go. Here I go. It's going to be a white Christmas. Ah, yes. Oh, fuck. Yes. Oh, yes. 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 You are forever mine. Forever green. Oh, that was unbelievable. Unreal. I guess Santa came early.
Oh, that was awesome.
Fantastic.
God. That was really good.
I started poking a little boner there.
Thinking about fucking the tree.
You fucked that tree. I couldn't help but noticing while you were reading that you guys haven't gotten a tree yet.
Now you know why I was against it. I was against it from the start, and I guess my instincts were right on. Whew. Well, that was good. That was great.
That was fantastic.
We did good, guys.
Sure. Feliz Navidad, huh?
Salud. Merry Christmas, everybody. Happy holidays, everybody.
Happy holidays.
I'll say Merry Christmas. What do I care?
No, it's Merry Christmas.
Yeah, it's Merry Christmas, right?
Oh.
Viking youth.